It is a brand new episode of Flyers Daily. How about the 6th of October, 2025? What does that mean? 3 days until the regular season? Are you kidding me? Flyers Daily presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Bill and I both laugh because we're like, we've been waiting for this for so long. Like, we talk every week. We don't talk. Bill and I don't talk on every Sunday to tape Monday's episode. We kind of talk throughout the week, every week, about longing for hockey season. Longing has become shorting for hockey season, Bill.
Thank goodness. You know, we go through that stage every off season, right? We're just pining for camp to start. And then we can't wait to have some exhibition games. And by the time the exhibition season is halfway through it, you're sick of those too. You just want to get going. You want them to mean something. So we're just about there. Not much longer to wait.
It was funny because I talked to Travis Sanheim between, I think, the second and third period last night, or first and second. I'm not sure which. But he scored that goal. Yeah. So he had the 5-on-5 goal. And I first of all, I introduced him as joining us right now for the Flyers intermission is Flyers forward Travis Sanheim. And that wasn't a slip of like, I'm talking to Konechny, but I'm talking to Sanheim. That was, dude, guy has scored 3 goals, 3 different ways, all below the dot. Like, what is going on? And he said, and I thought it was interesting, he said, it's a shame it's not during the regular season.
You'd like those to count? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, too bad you can't borrow some of those, you know?
Yeah, those are stats I wouldn't mind having on my line to begin the year. But I guess I'm going to have to start over and try and do that. Bill, before we get to the trade of Ryan Ellis, point per game Flyer player, by the way, I want to talk about Sanheim because we know that he made 4 Nations last year. We know he's run out of gas. I expected him to come in. We talked about it. There were certain guys we said, I don't worry about the way this guy's coming into camp. It was Konechny. It was Sanheim. It was Couturier. It was Noah Cates was a predictable guy. But I didn't expect this from Travis Sanheim. He looks like he took another, not a step, but another big step in the offseason, the way he's come in and performed in this preseason, led in this preseason, and produced in this preseason.
No doubt. Both sides of the puck, all 3 zones.
Yep.
Just sharp decision making. And there have been a couple times he's seen a lane right down the middle of the ice, and he just goes. And that opens up so much for everybody else on the team. Obviously the numbers start back at 0, but just that process, if he can stay with that, have a tremendous season. And I'll add to that too, his partner Cam York has had a dynamic preseason too. So there were the good and the bad during the preseason, but one of the exclamation marks was how those 2 are going into the season.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point because it's something else I also asked him about. How much of what you've been able to do offensively is a direct result of knowing that guy that you have back there in your partner in Cam York? Like I dissected the goal that Sanheim scored in that game 6 ways to Sunday when Dvorak reads backhand pass off Schaefer's stick, not on target. Dvorak attacks. And where I want to see is, when does Sanheim make the decision, by the way, as the deepest Flyer in the zone, to fly and become available for the drop pass?
Yeah, he read it right away. He read it as soon as Dvorak took off, and no hesitation whatsoever. And you said he flew down the ice. That was really, really cool. And obviously the backhand pass and the finish made it that much better. But just the confidence, and decisiveness, because that's what you really need from your top pairing guys. So couldn't be better. Could be a better way to go in.
Yeah, it's to make that play. And I asked Dvorak when he was walking out of the room after he scored that goal, because he did TV that break, and I said, how apparent did he make it that Sandy was there and he was open? He said, I found that after he was telling me he was covered because he thought the guy that had Dvorak was going to back off and take Sanheim away, even though Sanheim beat Schaefer up the ice. He said, but I didn't understand, and I dropped it to him, and he was there, and it worked out. But the way he's looked in this preseason, I think has been one of the biggest storylines, and the top pair, which brings us to the other end of the spectrum, is that third pair. Now, you and I both thought Ginning had a very uneven beginning, even going to a rookie game to this camp. But it seems like about 7 days ago, he hit some sort of groove that he's really been riding. And I think the groove, Bill, for me, has been the use of physicality, but not an overuse of physicality. I don't know if that makes sense, but use of positioning.
It does, because he made several, a couple good hits too, but good plays along the wall, but did go running out of his way, right?
Yeah, playing inside the dots,
taking away the inside and in the middle, and he played with a couple different partners too. Did he have a spectacular preseason? No, but was it solid? Yeah, and on your third pair, you need solid. I mean, he needs to stay at that level. It's really the right side of the pair that I'm kind of concerned about still.
Bill, I thought he played his way out of the organizational plans last year in a lot of ways, and a resurgence. But you're right. I am worried about the right side of the equation, because your options there are thin. To me, I think it's going to end up starting out as Juleson.
I think so too. Yeah.
But that's an area that's going to be of concern until Ristolainen comes back. And then even when Ristolainen comes back without Bradshaw, who, by the way, I saw leaving the building the other night against the Islanders, or the Devils rather, I just don't know what the effect of no Bradshaw coming off injury is going to be on Ristolainen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the good part is that Todd Reardon himself is a very, very highly respected defensive coach, and there's a lot of similarities, at least in certain ways, between
the thing I don't like, though, is that Reardon doesn't have his hands on him already.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're starting to build a rapport, and so you are starting from the beginning, and it's never good to miss all of camp and the first month of the season too, because you are starting out a little bit behind the eight ball, so you're playing catch up for several weeks.
Do you think that takes longer with big guys to play catch up? I do.
I think it does in many cases, not in every case, but I think in a lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah, I seem to think it does as well. Bill, one of a point per game player for the Flyers as a defenseman, which it's such a shame because I think he would have fit here so well from a hockey standpoint, is Ryan Ellis.
Yeah.
And I am, when the news came over that Danny was able to move the Ryan Ellis contract, you and I talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I'm frankly stunned with the extra year on it that he was able to do this.
Yeah.
Why the favor for Mike Greer in San Jose?
Well, I tried to look at it.
Assuming,
I tried to look at it from the San Jose side. What are they getting out of it, right? So kind of what I came up with is you had that 50 contract limit. They're right near it. They want Sam Dickinson to at least get the 9 games, but have the option open of carrying him all year if he runs with it. A couple young players. So if you're right at that limit, it makes it very hard to do anything else in season. You want to be below the limit. So they basically traded 2 contracts for 1 contract.
And one they can LTIR.
And one they can LTIR, yeah. And, they were not below the cap ceiling, but they're not while they're doing their rebuild, they're not a high-spending team. They were able to take it on. And they're taking it on for 2 years. And the reason why we thought Danny wasn't going to be able to trade, unlike the Carey Price thing, was that the Carey Price's trade, was that it has 2 years to run on the deal, and there's not much cap relief from year to year. It's not one of those It's not one of those contracts that was made back when you could really front load a contract and would just back dive at the end. You know, like Chris
The
Pronger's
real money. Yeah.
Yeah, like Chris Pronger's contract with the Flyers were able to trade it to the Coyotes. He was only making the minimum at that point, so they're able to make the numbers work out. I mean, from a Flyers standpoint, though, Jason, there's no downside to this trade. So,
no. I'm stunned. It makes me think that Danny's a GM that will really go into the weeds.
Yeah.
To find solutions. And look, Mike Rear may have been looking and may have put the word out that he was looking for some flexibility and a 2-for-1. We'll take a dead contract on that exchange. And maybe it kind of presented itself. And I'm sure Danny wasn't the only one that could present the situation. Yeah. The fact that he got it done, again, when it's real money this year and next year, is the really surprising thing for me. Because that owners don't like playing players that can't play. They don't mind taking on the cap hit, but they don't like paying the money.
Yeah,
and he's got to pay the money.
They pay no money, retention. Over $5 million a year. That's why I thought it was an untradeable contract this year. I thought maybe next year, but with 1 year to run, you might be able to find a situation where that would work for you. So I was surprised they were able to get this done. Listen, the defenseman the Flyers got out of it he's really an ECHL, AHL borderline guy so far in his career.
Yep. And that's Guriev.
Yeah. Guriev. And with Grundstrom, he's been a serviceable role player for a number of years.
He'll be a call up, right?
Yeah, I think he'd be a call up during. Yeah, I mean, you certainly need depth guys. You'll have injuries during the course of the year. He's a proven bottom six guy. I guess maybe what's in it for San Jose is just that, okay, well, they got something for him.
Yeah.
Even if it's only a 6th round pick, you got something, and you clear the space too. So,
you basically got a 1% chance at a player that's going to play 100 NHL games.
Yeah,
is what you got for to be able to move Grundstrom and be able to look at that. I mean, Grundstrom's played 297 games. He's played a fair amount of NHL games. So, call up, yes. Is it ultimately going to be something that shakes up your team or improves your team? No, but that's not what this was about. But is it about, Bill, perhaps a precursor to something?
Well,
like a right-handed D?
Well, it certainly creates a lot of flexibility now, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a trade right on the horizon, but you have the ability to make a trade now.
So something presents itself.
Something presents itself somewhere along the way. And I think one of the aspects, too, that's important to consider here, not even just at the beginning of the season, but as the season progresses, the Flyers are in a position where they can bank cap space.
Yeah.
And what that means is, let's say you have $5 million in cap space. As that progresses over the course of the season, because the salary cap prorates over the course of the year.
But an $8 million player.
Yeah, exactly. So you can take on a bigger and bigger and bigger cap hit because it prorates over the season. So the longer you might be able to wait to do that, you could get a higher salary player for that season. And maybe it's an expiring contract. Maybe it's a guy who has some term left. But now the Flyers have the ability, between the Fedotov trade and being able to get rid of Ellis's contract and not having the LTIR or eat it on your main cap, right? Because you just put him on injury reserve, regular injury reserve. Obviously, you replace his space on the roster, but you're not replacing his cap hit. Now you have that space you can bank, because you can't bank LTIR space. So that's just a coup. I mean, it's just a really good bit of GM work right there.
That's a good word for it. Bill, I don't want to sit here and be a Danny Briere PR machine, but we have talked about Howie Roseman and using all the levers of being able to build a winner and sustain a winner. We use it quite often when we were talking about offer sheets and things like that. We obviously didn't see any offer sheets. We did see some restricted free agent signings with Cates, Forster, and Cam York this offseason. But to be able to kind of use all of these different avenues to open up your ability to improve, especially after this year, when even more dead money comes out, to me is almost like foreshadowing of something to come.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, things always change over the course of a year. Sometimes you hear stuff about this free agent or that free agent, and then before you get to July 1st, that guy's already resigned, or he's already, or
like Kaprizov.
No, yeah. So Kaprizov is exactly where I was going with it. So you never know what's going to happen over the course of a year, but you're in position, and they will certainly be in a position to be able to make an impact move where they, where they stockpiled so many first round picks in recent years, things like that, So as you're saying, coming different levers from different directions. Well, they stockpiled assets. They're stockpiling cap space, and and hopefully the team itself overachieves a bit, and you're able to sell the team of, we're up and we're coming, whether we make the playoffs this year or not. It's on the near horizon. And, so players a lot of times, like coaches, I've never seen a coach yet who doesn't think he's not the guy to improve a team.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And players too often think, what, if I go there, I can help them get there.
Yeah, I'm part of the fix.
Yeah. So but I mean, they have to see progress and feel like they're in a certain spot to improve. So, in the bigger picture, the Flyers are putting themselves in a very good position, and right now they are where they are in the short term.
Bill, is this the difference between the Chuck Fletcher and Ron Hextall era? Is that they never got to this point?
Yeah.
Even though they're vastly different.
But. Yeah. I mean, Chuck caught lightning in a bottle for the 1 year.
Yeah.
And then he tried to recreate that year. And unfortunately, like Ryan Ellis being the ultimate example, it just never worked out.
Yeah, he seemed to have a black cloud that followed him.
It seemed to, like I said, I don't mean it disrespectfully, but he was like the Eddie Mush of general managers, where it looks like a sure winner there, and it goes bad somehow. So somehow it just never worked out.
Yeah.
He just had buzzard's luck, absolutely. And with Hexy, I mean, it was the same general idea of what Danny's tried to do, was building through assets, building through the farm system. Where I think things went wrong with Hexy, and at least one of the key ways, was you wanted the young players to develop in a time frame where Giroux was still in his prime when they started the rebuild, and Jake was still in his prime, and Simmons was still in his prime. So you had a window there, and you saw where they'd make the playoffs 1 year, miss the next. They had enough there to be a bubble team, and the hope was you could add enough in the farm system, enough guys will become impact players that as those guys age, maybe their role reduces, but other guys are stepping up, and it just that plan made sense, but it didn't work out.
Yeah. We got to see this weekend something I didn't know that we were going to see. I'm sure you didn't either, throughout this summer, but that was Tyson Forster playing in preseason. There was a lot of unknowns around there, and infection, and we heard Thanksgiving, Christmas, even maybe at one point, when he may start the season. I was thrilled that he's out there in preseason, but I'm even more thrilled at the way he looked, and at that line picking up right where they left off. Such a territorial line. When they don't have the puck and it's up for grabs 50-50 in the offense and whatever it is, they swarm. They're so close together.
Yeah, I was just going to say the puck support with those three.
Yeah, it's very Florida-esque.
And they are relentless. They are absolutely relentless. If they don't have the puck, they will fight for every inch to go get it, and and they're patient too. Like the Flyers haven't had a good cycling line in a long time. This is a very good cycling line. If there's not a play to be made, well, they'll just put it back to soft ice and regroup.
Yep.
And that's they will fight another day when they have to. And I mean that's something that I think the entire team can and should follow. When there's a play to make, you make it, and when there's not, you hold the puck, you keep it. So I think that I was thrilled with the way that the Force looked in the one game, to the point he didn't need the last game of the preseason. Yeah. He's ready. He's ready to go. Ultimately, I guess they'll have some decisions to make as to whether they move Forster to a different line. Maybe as the two-way guy with Zegras and Michkov. Whether they want to put Dvorak there as the complementary piece of he's a really good complementary piece on a line, or ultimately maybe they go back and experiment a little bit more with Owen Tippett. So they have options.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that experiment.
It didn't work so great. I mean, in the short period of time they were together, it didn't work great. But I mean, Tippett does need to be on a skill line, though. So it's
you got to play him with Couturier and Konechny.
Yeah,
I think you just have to. I think the strongest way you go into opening night is Couturier, Konechny, and Tippett. Yeah, and then you go Zegras, Michkov, Dvorak, and then that third line's obviously whatever you want to call it. It might be a third line some nights. Other nights it might be a second line.
Yeah.
Cage, Forster, Brink, and then obviously Hathaway and I mean, are we looking at Nick Deslauriers?
Yeah. Lachenko was making the team. So
Lachenko in the middle with Garnet Hathaway. Does Nick Deslauriers get waived here?
I think he's making the team. When Dennis
you don't keep Bobbles.
I mean, they're going to go with. They're going to go with 7. You go with 14 forwards. I mean,
what about Gurbenkin? I mean, where's he fit?
Gurbenkin, Gurbenkin. Yeah, I mean, because Gurbenkin making this team. So yeah, I think you're right.
I don't mind him with TK and Couturier either.
I mean, the thing with Nick is that you're only going to need him for so many games during the course of the season, right?
Yeah,
and it's kind of a luxury at this point to carry the old school enforcer on your team. So yeah, I honestly, when I was doing the math in my head, I forgot about Gurbenkin. So yeah, I mean Gurbenkin will make the team.
Yeah, so maybe Obels doesn't make it. Gurbenkin makes it, and your extra is Deslauriers.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's hard. It's hard for me to swallow because Obels earned it.
Both those guys earned a spot.
Yeah. Are you surprised at Gurbenkin? Because sometimes without the puck, I wonder what he's thinking. So the fact he's always around it, though. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's there.
Yeah. Well, Todd, how many times does Todd use the word? He's a sticky guy, right?
Yeah, but, he really good net front too. Like he got in front of him on a screen on that Konechny goal.
He's very good about going to the net. And I mean that'll keep you in the league. It'll get you the league. It'll keep you in the league. He needs to be a little bit more careful coming through the neutral zone with the puck sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
That's one of the things they have to clean up with him. But just in terms of along the walls, he'll fight for the puck. He'll get to the net, and the effort's there and the desire to learn.
He's ready. He's an NHL player.
So,
yeah, he's definitely an NHL player. What do we make of the power play, Bill?
We'll see when the season starts and it develops. They had some really good days on the power play, but they also had, I mean, you're always going to ride that wave, right?
It was weird though when the top unit had a good day, the second unit didn't, and vice versa.
Or vice versa. Yeah,
yeah.
They could never, and that often seems to be the case. You have one unit that's clicking, the other one's not. I think on the whole, actually, a lot of times the second unit, I think overall had a better preseason.
And I think that was because York's on it.
Now
Just saying.
Yeah. I really want to see York try it out on the top, and I mean, it'll switch back and forth, I guess, over the season. But I really want to see York get that opportunity to take and run with it. And you could always, at times, you could have Sanheim up there too. It'll vary, but I really want to see. And by the way, I like the way the Drysdale finished the preseason. Because I thought he was a little up and down earlier. Not in terms of conditioning or anything, because he's in fantastic shape, but just in terms of his actual play, I thought he was a little bit uneven in the first half of camp, but he finished the right way. But
you like the way he initiated contact a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that was all good stuff to see. Those are real, because you're not looking for wins and losses in the preseason. You're looking at the bubble guys to see who might make the team, and at least up front they stepped up, and on your third pair, to a degree, Giddings stepped up too. But you're also really looking for how your main guys start the season, how your goalies come into the season, and because those are really the keys to getting off to a good start. Last thing I'll say in the power plays, let's not forget that they started last year, I think 8 for 30, 25%. So just let it develop and see where it goes.
Yeah. I feel better about the goaltending too with Ersson. I think Vladar's looked a little bit more refined.
He has,
in the preseason so far, but we'll see where that goes. The other thing is I think the preference is always to have a second pair D-man be the quarterback on a power play, because he plays less minutes than a top pair D-man.
Yeah.
So I think they want Drysdale to be that guy, but if he's not, then you go to York. The relationship on and off the ice of Zegras and Michkov, I was talking to some people behind the scenes, has really seemed to hit a stride with these two. They may not speak perfect language to each other, with a language barrier, but they speak
hockey, though.
Super skilled hockey.
They're starting to develop that radar to know where the other guy is. And anybody has the opportunity to go out to Voorhees to watch a practice.
Yeah, watch those.
Definitely watch those two. Yeah. Watch the way they pass each other. I mean, even before they really start practice, because both guys tend to be among the early ones on the ice.
Yeah, when they're just drifting around the ice, they're always working on something.
They're always working on something, and it's usually pretty creative, pretty cool to watch too. So,
I saw that, and I talked to Ashlyn Sutherland about this from NBC Sports Philadelphia. I saw the clip of Zegras saying, "I feel like I've been here forever."
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's got a lot of close friends. With Cam York, who he grew up playing with, and played with his brother, lived with his brother, as a matter of fact. Jamie Drysdale played with in Anaheim and is known forever, and is really comfortable here really early. I just think that he is. I mean, like, he scores that power play goal off that insane feed on the back door from Michkov, and the expression was zero.
Yeah,
I mean, there was no elation. It was, we're going to do a ton of that look on his face. And to me, he looks like a guy that getting that first trade really impacted him after being on the cover of the video game and all the hype and everything. He looks to me like a player that's got a ton to prove and can't wait to prove it.
Yeah, and very high odds that they're going to be a very productive offensive line. I'd be shocked if they weren't. It's really all about the all around game. That's honestly why I think Dvorak is a nice complementary piece to that.
Me too.
The other two guys will and Talk addressed this, saying that you can't just have the F3 do all the checking for a line. The other guys have to just recognize a little bit, but but he's a really nice piece in that line. Somebody drew the comparison, not stylistically, but just in terms of being a complementary player on a skilled line, brings something out more in him and helps the other guys do what they do best. They brought up the example of Mike Knuble, that he did that in Boston, he did that in Philly.
So good at that.
Yeah.
Knuble was great at that.
Yeah.
And excelled in that role. and you can really lengthen a career by doing that too.
No doubt.
You can absolutely. And look, Dvorak's got a little creativity around the net.
He has some skill. Yeah,
He's a savvy pro.
Yeah.
I've liked some of the plays that he has made. Last thing for you, Bill, you surprised Andre went down as early as he did?
Yeah, because he was, he was so waiver exempt. Honestly, I still think the Flyers are in a position where I know you want to be bigger on the blue line. Okay, that I understand that you're talking about fit, you're talking about putting pieces together, but I think the Flyers are still at a point where I think you have to go with the best player who have the most impact. Right now, you do have the advantage again that he's still waiver exempt this year. If Yinning struggles or there's an injury or whatever, then Andre comes right up and there's an opportunity. I mean, we put so much in opening night, but it's really all about the season as a whole. But I was surprised to see him sent down. And while I don't think he either had a spectacular camp, I thought he had a pretty good one.
Yeah, I thought he had moments where he was really good.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I don't think he beat the door down.
Yeah.
And I think he, with a new coaching staff, and this is not his fault, that there's two other small-ish defenders on the team. That has nothing to do with him, but it has everything to do with him. Yeah. and to me, I remember talking to Charlie O'Connor about this. I can't worry about that being a problem until I know that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that may be a couple of years, I don't know.
And you can't worry also how you're going to match up in a playoff series when you're just trying to be competitive and maybe hang around to maybe compete for a second wild card spot. If all goes really, really well, then you worry about the playoffs later on.
That's like that Risto conversation. Oh, he'd be a pain in the ass in a 7-game series. The guy's never been in the playoffs.
Never played a playoff game yet.
So it's like, it's the old, what if my aunt had, she'd be my uncle.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awesome week, Bill. We'll drop the puck on Thursday on the 25-26 season down in Florida. You'll have great coverage at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, NHL.com. And it'll be the first regular season of HockeyHotStove.com, which is something I recommend going to not once, but twice, maybe 3 times a day. So everybody check those sites out. We will be back next week with Bill, and we'll be back Wednesday with El Presidente, the president of hockey operations. Keith Jones will join us coming up on Wednesday's show. So join us then on a brand new Flyers Daily.